My name is Andri Snær Magnason. I'm a writer from Iceland, sometimes playwright, filmmaker.
Silvestrem, Lavrík, Slovensko. Can we have a small talk about the weather?
Weather?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Icelanders always talk about the weather.
Yeah. What about windy days? Do you like windy days?
The weather in Iceland is difficult. It's good writing weather in Iceland. It's,
how many words do you have in Icelandic language for wind?
Stilningskaldi, allhvasst.
A lot of them?
Yeah, probably, variations of wind, fine tunes of differences of wind,
Sure.
how the wind touches the waves or blasts them over, how the wind blows over snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so probably 60 words.
Yeah, because wind is here very important.
Well, it's kind of the main thing.
Power.
Yeah, it's the main thing.
Formed the country with other
We
powers.
don't have so much kites still. That's strange. We should have kites.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
Sure. And what about trees? Do you know where is the oldest tree on the Iceland? I today heard it's in the middle of Reykjavik.
Yeah, it might be the tree that is close to the pond.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite trees.
Corner,
Yeah, on the corner.
I heard it's oak, 130 years old.
Okay.
But it's a baby. And the age of trees.
compared to 700-year trees in Europe. Yeah, I think we only have one word for a tree.
Yeah.
In Icelandic. No, maybe 5 words for a tree.
But if we are talking about the weather and these questions in near and far future, are you optimistic or pessimistic?
I'm realistic.
Realistic.
That we are changing the weather, and but we don't really know how weather plays out. So it's not linear warming everywhere. But we are probably going to lose the glaciers of Iceland in the next 100 years, and that's because of the gradual warming. But we can also have changes of the Gulf Stream that can cause cooling, at least locally, even though the global temperature warms. If the Gulf Stream slows down, then we could have a colder temperature. So there's nothing kind of really calculatable about this. The only thing that we know is that we should take precaution and do everything that we can to not get the system to go out of balance. Yeah.
And you are writing about this question.
Yeah.
Does it works? Are people able to catch something from literature, from novels, from your readings, what can change their habits and thinking?
I think we don't have any other system. We're living in a very strange place. So if you ask me, why did you write your book, which is about the melting of glaciers? And if I simplify it very much, then I'm, of course, trying to prevent the oceans from rising. And that is very special in literary history, to write a book that wants to keep the oceans from rising. The belief that words can affect the oceans. That's a very strong belief in literature. It's almost like you have a Moses complex or something, that you can calm the oceans with words. But that is a fact, that writers that are writing now about climate, they're believing that words can change our actions, that can change the law, and law or policy will be made that prevent the oceans from rising. And so words to calm oceans, you could call that a genre of literature that emerges, or words that want to calm oceans or prevent glaciers from melting. that is a literary genre that is emerging in the last 20, 30 years. And if you look at the whole human history, no writers before us thought they could affect the surface of the ocean by writing words. But we live in democratic societies, and we asked for that system, and that means, and most paradigm shifts in our culture happen not like democracy. Okay, some philosopher comes up with democracy, but democracy spreads to the people through songs, through poems, through stories, through constantly repeating, not through one song or one story, but through millions of songs and millions of stories. So I see, and feminism or women's rights, it's not something that only feminist theorists in a university talk about. That's something that every woman understands, and that also goes through poetry, stories, songs, and operas. And basically, I see my role the same. We need a swift paradigm shift, and this is my contribution to the understanding. So I rely on science, but then I use my own way of storytelling and my freedom as a writer to express the science.
But today I was in famous bookstore in Reykjavik on the main street. It was established in the end of 19th century, but when I came in, there was toys, souvenirs, caps, and in the corner were books. Are people in Iceland reading, and are they reading such stories as are you writing?
Well, my book was a bestseller.
Yeah, so I know it. It was a little bit provocative question.
Yeah, so it did.
And reach, why?
It did reach people, but I sometimes ask myself if our reading is a myth or if it's reality. And this fact that we've noticed in the tourist shops where stuffed puffins fill the front floor and go and the books go further and further into the back corner. That's a very sad case, but it might also be blamed on the people that run the stores, that they're just not creative enough in believing in the book and giving it out. So, but the books in Iceland have been. So, if you come before Christmas, then you will see supermarkets full of books.
Yeah, that's nice.
So the supermarkets, so the books would fill the center, and the food goes into the corners.
Yeah.
And that undermines in the way the bookstores, because people don't go to the bookstore to buy the book, and the supermarkets just sell during peak season. So our book market is a bit weird, and then of course lots of people are reading crime novels and cookbooks, and
but it's not literature.
I'm not sure. I don't want to throw a bomb into the literary scene. But.
We are talking in Gunnar's house, an author of a famous Advent book, translated into a lot of languages. It's a beautiful house from, as I approximate, from 70s. Yeah. Is ever writer in Iceland such rich? Then he can have such house?
Yes, every writer in Iceland has a house like this.
I believe.
So Gunnarsson, this is not his biggest house. Yeah. So his big house, this is his small house. Gunnarsson's big house was built in the east, which was like a country mansion. And the price of that house was like 10 houses like this. But it was built in his home valley in the east of Iceland with some dream of a flourishing countryside. But the business model was based on his childhood business model, where you could have lots of workers working on a farm and you would just pay them with with food. You just had to feed some people, and they would work for you all year. So that really failed. So that house is standing in East Iceland, and of course Gunnar Gunnarsson was famous in Germany and Denmark before television and cinema. So he was very rich for his time. Maybe one of the richest Icelanders, actually.
Really?
I don't think many Icelanders. No, I don't think any Icelander built such a big house.
Oh yeah.
As Gunnar did. So being famous in Germany in the 20s and 30s, or in Denmark in the 20s, that gave you quite a lot of financial stability.
So being writer in Iceland is good for everybody.
Yes. So now today we have maybe 30 actively writing writers that are living on, like constantly writing, and I don't think anyone has such a big house, but we have 1, 2, or 3 crime novelists that could actually buy this house.
Oh yeah,
so,
of course, crime novelists.
So yeah, they could buy this house.
And Iceland, in the middle, in the Atlantic Ocean, is it the world its own, or do you feel be part of Europe, or are you thinking about such things?
Yeah, Iceland, being an island, having a language on the island, makes it a very special place. So it makes it more special than similarly many square kilometers elsewhere, or at least makes it different. Maybe not more special, it's just different. So Iceland is between America and Europe, under a very strong US influence, but also Scandinavian, and so the special thing about Iceland is that we have the language.
Yeah.
So all ideas that enter Iceland have to be translated by somebody and brought into Iceland by a person.
Yeah.
So if we want to become communists, somebody has to import communism to Iceland. If we are to become libertarian, somebody has to read Milton Friedman and carry that into Iceland. So the debate becomes like a small universe on its own.
Yeah.
So the debate within Iceland, and if we want to become surrealists, somebody has to import surrealism and become the local surrealist author. So that creates an interesting microcosmos on this island, and then we have this ambition here that we don't feel like we are a small place. We feel like we're a metropolis.
Yeah.
So there's this demand that we should represent, like in music, we should have techno and a techno band and a rap band and a heavy metal band and a thrash metal band and a klezmer band and a reggae band. And so we feel like we have to represent everything on this island. And so the cultural life can be quite interesting because of that, and also because of the language. If we had spoken Danish, our talent would succeed in Copenhagen. If we had spoken English, our talent would go to London or New York to succeed. But because we have Icelandic, we have this illusion of success in this small community. And that again brings like ambition and longing to do things.
Those feelings are common with our feelings in Slovakia, and we are in the middle of Europe. Yeah. But we are a small country, small language, young culture, and so on. So please, next summer, come to Slovakia and to Czech Republic. I believe we shall meet again.
Thank you. I'd love to. Thank you.